being creative takes courage.
Yeah.
Because everybody would tell you, that's not going to work. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, that doesn't happen. You get a lot of no's and a lot of discouragement. So you have to really know, okay, this is something I'm going to do, then I'm going to do it. And you have to be stubborn and you have to have courage, because you'll get a lot of no's and you'll get a lot of people thinking, wasting your time. When I tell people it takes 4 years to get a patent, they said, oh my goodness.
You're listening to The Pivotal Leader, where modern leaders talk about the moments that shifted their organizational cultures and pivoted their teams to success. Hey everybody, this is Gina Trimarco, Chief Results Officer of Pivot 10 Results, a strategy and training company that helps businesses shift from people problems to performance results. Each week on The Pivotal Leader, I feature inspirational leaders and entrepreneurs who know how to positively impact their customers, employees, and brand through culture. But before we jump in, here's a pivotal fact. Your survive versus thrive ability hinges on your investment in your employees and customers. If you don't provide meaningful, purposeful training and growth opportunities for your employees and results for your customers, well, they just might leave you and head straight for your competition. If you're looking for fresh ways to keep your stakeholders engaged, shoot me an email at gina@pivot10.com or visit our website at pivot10.com. In this episode of The Pivotal Leader, I interviewed Frances Prado, CEO of Ageless Beautiful Clever Creations and inventor of Hanging Secrets, the world's first and only patented bra and lingerie organizer. Hanging Secrets has identified and filled a previously unmet need for the storage of women's intimate apparel in a convenient and practical way. Her grit, determination, and work ethic are fueled by her journey as the daughter of Mexican immigrants who began their lives in the United States in 1963 as field workers. She worked alongside her parents in the fields picking produce in Bakersfield. At that time, she did not realize the great impact working in the dirt with her parents would have on her. Her father always made sure that they were the first ones in the fields and the last ones to leave. Additionally, her career path at Costco has also fueled her path. She's earned multiple positions while there, and she's most proud of being the first Latina woman to be Assistant General Manager of CWI Packaging. Those experiences have greatly influenced the person she is today and helped provide her with the necessary skills for success as an inventor, entrepreneur, and U.S. patent holder. To date, only 7% of U.S. patents are issued to sole female inventors in the United States, and only 0.3% are those are Latinas, and Frances is one of them. Frances is passionate about her business because it has allowed her the satisfaction of contributing to both the U.S. economy and to women's charitable causes, which for her is the true meaning of living the American dream. So inspired by this woman. I think you will be too. So let's dive into this episode and listen and learn. Frances, welcome to the Pivotal Leader podcast today.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Me too. I read we connected on LinkedIn, and I think it's because you heard another podcast with Felina Hansen, and we connected that way. And I started reading your bio on LinkedIn, and I'm like, what an interesting woman. And you had reached out to me, and I instantly was like, hey, want to be on a podcast? So thank you, first of all, for saying yes.
Well, thank you so much for reaching out to me. That was awesome. I said, you know what? I love your interview with Felina, and I go, well, I'm going to connect and see what happens. And that's the great opportunity of being on LinkedIn. That platform is awesome. It connects you to people that you normally may not have the opportunity to connect.
Right. It's so great. And the thing that attracted me to you, most about you, is in your description, you talk about the American dream. And in my opinion, that's what you did. I too am the daughter of immigrants, so I felt like this instant connection with you. Can you walk our listeners through your journey to and the invention of Hanging Secrets? Because it's, I think, such an interesting journey, and I'd just like to hear you talk about it versus me kind of telling everybody about it.
Okay, well, let me start off by giving you a little bit of background. I'm currently a manager for Costco and have been a manager for Costco for the past 23 years. And everything was, I was really happy with my job. I love my job at Costco, but something was happening at home. I was going through the empty nest syndrome. Mm-hmm. My son had recently been stationed in Afghanistan, and my daughter was off to college, and my husband was working a 10-hour shift. And I specifically remember asking myself, Frances, what are you going to do with all this extra time on your hands? And how are you not going to worry about your son and your daughter? So the first thing I could think of was to clean my house. But I said, girl, well, you better start cleaning. So I started in my bedroom. That was the only thing I can come up with. I started in my bedroom. I pulled out the drawers, and my bras were a mess. That was my aha moment. I couldn't believe that they were just stuffed in a drawer. And I said, you know what, there has to be a better way. And, you know, for so many generations, we're taught the beautiful pieces of lingerie because we know how sexy and sophisticated it makes us feel. And, you know, when we go to the mall, we walk around proudly with that pink little bag throughout the whole mall. We might give us a second little lap so everybody can see what we just purchased. And then what happens? We get home, we pull out the delicate, beautiful pieces of lingerie, and we just shove them and stuff them in the drawer.
Right. And it's certainly not like that at Victoria's Secrets. It's very nicely laid out in their little drawers.
Right. Who doesn't love to go shopping there because it's displayed and it's beautiful. And so, you know, I think that goes hand in hand to what I do at Costco. You have a problem, you solve it. So I basically saw a problem at home and I solved it. In fact, my first hand sketch took me about, I would say, 5 minutes to create. I had to visualize it in my head. I knew I wanted to display. I knew I wanted to protect the lingerie. And I knew I wanted to put it in a convenient place because the drawer was not in a convenient place. I would literally grab all my bras, throw them on the bed, find what I need, run to the closet, pick out the blouse, come back and forth. You're laughing because you probably do that yourself, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's crazy.
So I had to find an efficient way. So becoming an entrepreneur and an inventor wasn't something I had planned. It just came about as though I was going through the empty nest syndrome.
And I think I personally like cleaning the house is something that I go to when I'm feeling like life is in chaos, or it's like the one thing that can preoccupy me and structure me. And what a great opportunity that cleaning helped you create and become an inventor.
And, you know, touching on that base, I think it's because, Gina, we're able to control what we're cleaning.
Yes.
We have control of that situation.
Yes.
And I remember my mom used to garden. When I could tell that when my mom was stressed, she was out in her garden. She would water her roses, and that's where she spent a lot of time. And I also have a garden too. But at that time, it was cleaning. But now I could see why I saw my mom do it, and I ended up doing the cleaning part of it. And boy, it's been a journey because I didn't know how challenging it was. You know, the first thing that comes into mind, I said, okay, well, now I created Hanging Secrets. Now I know I need to protect my intellectual property. What do I do? So I started reading and I went on the website of the patent office, and oh my gosh, it was like learning a whole different language. Mm-hmm. And patent attorneys, you know, filing for a patent is very expensive. It can run between $10,000 and $15,000.
Wow.
So I know the first step was filing a provisional patent. So I went on and I studied and I printed out it was like a binder about an inch thick. And I studied it for about 6 months, and I filed my own provisional patent myself. Again, because I didn't have the funds to do so.
Right.
So that kept me busy, and I filed my provisional patent by myself. That takes a year, and then after that, I got help. I sought help for a patent agent, and I was able to file for a patent. And in March of 2015, I was issued my patent.
That is amazing. You know, I've read also in your bio that only 7% of U.S. patents are issued to sole female inventors in the United States, and only 0.3% of those are Latinas.
Yeah, our sole female inventors. You know, I started, again, going back to my experience with Costco. You know, we analyze data, you have data. So I was curious to find out, okay, now that I had received my patent, okay, wow, how many women have patents? So I got in contact with the lawyer and I asked her a few questions. She collected some data for me, sent me an article. And again, it's sole female inventors only have that 7%, and that's the percentage of Latinas. And I asked myself, I go, wow, I wonder why. Well, now I know after 2 years, it's a long journey. It's hard. You know, what happens is you have to, being creative takes courage. Yeah. Because everybody would tell you, you know, that's not going to work. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, that doesn't happen. And you get a lot of no's and a lot of discouragement. So you have to really know, okay, this is something I'm going to do, then I'm going to do it. And you have to be stubborn and you have to have courage because you'll get a lot of no's, and you'll get a lot of people thinking, oh, wasting your time. When I tell people it takes 4 years to get a patent, they said, oh my goodness. They don't realize that that's how long it takes. And not every application submitted to the patent office gets granted a patent. It has to have a novelty. It has to meet the criteria in order to receive a patent. So it's a long journey.
In
you have to have a lot of patience.
Yeah. In a previous, this reminds me of a previous podcast. I think you just listened to it with Justin Zastro of Smart Armor. And one of the things he said was, we became an overnight success in 4 years because people don't realize how much goes into, how much work goes into building a business in general, but just a patent taking 4 years. Wow.
Right. And what it is, what I've also learned through this journey, I'm considered a side launcher because I hold a full-time job. I start my day at 3:10 in the morning and I end it at 10 o'clock at night. So again, it doesn't happen overnight. It's every day. As long as you continue to have progress and you continue to push forward, then that's my journey. And, I understand it's not going to happen overnight. People, I get sometimes family, are you still working on it? Yes, I am. And I'm not going to stop because I love it. I literally, I found my purpose because, again, I'm, before becoming an entrepreneur, I considered myself very private. I didn't have Facebook. I had to open up a Facebook account and all the social media platforms,
right?
Even LinkedIn. There was no need. Costco is a very good company. They pay us very well. We have benefits. There really was no need for me to go out and become an inventor and entrepreneur. But now that I have a taste of it, I realize, wow, I like this. It's addicting.
Well, I also think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that your family story, I think probably is in your roots of that kind of tenacious, make things happen, do things. So I think it's part of your DNA a little bit.
Our work ethic.
Yeah.
Our father instilled a very, very strong work ethic. I can't believe, and at the time I was 6 or 7 years old, and I can't believe how much that time working in the fields has impacted me, now at this age, and it always has. I remember my father, we were the first ones to arrive at the fields, and we were the last ones to leave. He had gotten a reputation of never giving up. He always completed the assignments that they gave us, and he would have that reputation where someone else, another family, would get up and leave. And then the manager would come and say, Sabino, can you come and finish off over here because his family just left? I said, oh no, here we go. I said, oh my goodness, can these people finish? Are we the only ones that finish? So that's a reputation my father had gotten with his little dream team. And so we would go finish off what everybody would leave. So that was a reputation my father had. And, it was hot. It was really challenging work conditions. But we were taught, you never give up, and you work hard and you're efficient. Everybody had a little task to do.
It's such a great story. And I think that's why you are where you are, is because that kind of came back to the surface. I'm sure people thought your dad was crazy. And why are you staying so late? Why are you coming so early? But he had a purpose and a dream and a goal. And it's just, I really resonate with that because my dad was the same way. You work really hard, you show up early, you stay late, and that pays off in the end. So that's really, it's just such an inspirational story. So let's talk about then the next step. So what happens next? You get the patent, you have this design. Where can we find this product, and what's distribution look like? So what was that next step like for you?
Well, the next step was that I had an angel investor, which is my doctor that I was seeing. I showed it to her. I thought, wow, she would be my perfect target market. I want to get her opinion. So I went in and I showed it to her, and she loved it. And in 2015, she ended up being an angel investor, and we ended up co-founding our business, Ageless Beautiful Clever Creations, which we founded in 2015. And we actually launched the first manufactured hanging secrets on September 24th, 2015. And in March of 2017, which was this year, we launched the travel size. So we have a closet size and the travel size. We launched Hanging Secrets won HSM Project American Dream, It was a contest that it was designated for Latino entrepreneurs and inventors, and it basically gave you a fast track to get your product on HSN. And we launched the travel size on HSN on March 13th. Yeah, that was an opportunity of a lifetime, and it was an amazing experience. Something that I would never forget. You don't realize, once the camera's on and you're showing your product, your brain starts to go back and say, wow, I can't believe from that hand sketch, where I'm at today and what I'm doing here. So it was a very rewarding evening. And again, knowing that all the hard work that you've put into your business, those are the milestones that you want to remember and you need to hold on to, because that's what's going to get you through the dark days and the rough days.
I got goosebumps listening to that story.
When it was very emotional because, my father passed away when I was 13.
I'm so sorry.
I said, wow, he passed away when I was 13. And so those 13 years, he impacted our life with the work ethic. And I thought, wow. And they came to this country, 1963. And I go, and my mom passed away 17 years ago. So she didn't get to see all of this. And I go, wow, if she was here, what would they say? Their sacrifices to come to this country and to give, we're a total of 7. I'm 3 of the youngest siblings that were born in the United States. And I go, wow, they gave me the opportunity to live the American dream.
Right.
That's really basically what I was doing. Yeah. In fact, the contest was called HSN Project American Dream. How ironic is that?
It's just such a great inspirational story for anybody, especially women, when you doubt yourself and you have an idea, to just go for it.
And you know what, Gina, what's really awesome throughout this whole journey is that, my daughter's been been in this process. My daughter was studying graphic design. She just got her bachelor's degree as a graphic designer. In fact, my daughter Ashley was the one that created the Hanging Secrets logo. It's
a great logo, by the way. I love it.
And, I couldn't believe that I had a hard time trying to name it because I was coming up with a lot of different names before I actually named it Hanging Secrets. And I remember going into her room and I was telling her a few options that I had. She says, when we talk business, she calls me by my first name. She says, Frances, your product name has to describe. She says, your product name has to describe what your product is, or you're going to confuse your customer. Mm-hmm. And that's all she needed to tell me. And I said, okay, what does it do? It hangs in the closet. And what is it hanging? It's hanging my Victoria's Secret dolls. And so that's how the Hanging Secrets came about. She was 21 at the time.
That's great. Well, she inherited that. It's been passed down, I think. Again, the DNA. Where can we find the product? What did distribution look like? And you had HSN. Where else are you selling?
We're selling it on our website at www.hangingsecrets.com. Right now, we're in the process of revamping our website, and we also have 2 local retail agreements here in San Diego, California. And I don't know if I mentioned it to you or not, Gina, but our mission is to support breast cancer survivors in our community, and a percentage of our sales from Hanging Secrets is donated to the Virginia Ann Fund here in San Diego, which helps women that don't have medical benefits with products for breast cancer survivors, bras and wigs. And, that's a really beautiful feeling because it's, it's women helping women.
Well, that was one of my questions for you was what's your give back plan as a business? Because I knew that you were involved in that. So, and I think that's important to have a give back.
Absolutely. Again, you have to, life throws things back at you, and it's a beautiful circle when you're able to help other women. And again, it's a woman's product, and I knew from day one, this is a bra. This is directly connected to our breast. This has to be a breast cancer product.
Right.
And again, my mom passed away from cancer, and to me, cancer's cancer, regardless where you get it. It takes away lives, and it's something that I really wanted to do since day one.
Does Victoria's Secret know about Hanging Secrets?
I wish they did.
Well, I'm just wondering because they should be selling it for you.
Well, we did try at the very beginning. They don't take unsolicited products, but we want to establish our brand, and that's one of the biggest things is establishing your brand, getting the product recognition. Now we have data. When we first launched it, we didn't know what the reaction was going to be. We didn't have the product reviews. As these 2 years have gone by, now I have data. Now when we first started, I thought the women wanted to save money because their bras were getting crushed and damaged, and we constantly had to replace them. That's not what was coming back in the reviews. What was coming back on the reviews was that they liked the fact that they weren't getting crushed, but they never mentioned money. They liked the fact that they were organized. They liked the fact that it would save them space in their drawer. And the most common comment was, "I love it." Money was never mentioned. So as we grow and we get this feedback, so now the marketing and the brand recognition has pivoted. And now based off of the information that we're receiving from our customers. A funny stat is our first customer was a gentleman. He wanted to buy it for his wife because he says, I spend a lot of money on her lingerie, so I want to make sure she takes care of it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So again, it's getting to know our product and getting to know exactly where it falls. And we're getting a lot of mothers and daughters, because mothers, they buy the bras for their daughters. And again, they know how expensive and they want it to look really nice. Our youngest customer was 13 years old.
Wow,
and our eldest so far has been 64. So, where does that put us? Wow, that's a huge market. They always say that you have to know exactly your customers. So we're still learning, and it's a process. It's a process. Victoria's Secret will come. That will come.
Yeah, I just had to put that out there because that just seems like such a natural. They'll show up. I feel it.
Yes, throw it out there.
I'm putting it in the universe.
Have it come back to me.
I'm going to put it in the universe that they should be connected with you. It's a natural fit, and it just makes sense, right? And it's kind of an accolade to them as well, a little free marketing because we're talking about them. In a previous conversation, you shared with me that the inner conflict that you were having between differentiating yourself from Costco. I'm not sure if I'm making sense with this question, but can you talk a little bit about, where you were trying to find yourself? I work for Costco. I have this brand. I don't want to be kind of, thought of as Costco. I want to be thought of as my own brand. But you were talking about how Costco kind of really, you realize it really influenced where you are in your career as well, and how that's helped you as an entrepreneur.
Again, because this was all very new to me, I wanted to separate because I wanted to be, very respectful. Costco was on my right side and my launch was on my left side, or vice versa. So I wanted to make sure that was separated, out of due respect to the company and out of due respect to my launch business on the side. But as things started to evolve and I started to realize, and, I started getting interviews and questions constantly asked, and I go, wait a minute, and now it finally dawned on me, everything I do, and I've worked for Costco for 23 years, everything I do is starting to mesh as me being an entrepreneur, because as we run our business in Costco, then we have that liberty to run it as our own business. That's what we're taught to do. So you're watching your numbers, it's your own business. You have that liberty. So you're invested in it. You take full responsibility of your department and of your employees. So I was doing the same thing at home with my launch. Again, the invention had to come from, we have a problem at work, we solve it. I had a problem at home, I solve it.
Wow.
And, me, and even with the vendor, I was working with the vendor for hanging tickets. And I remember talking to him. It was an older gentleman, and I said, we have to make sure the quality is there. We want a quality product. You're only as good as your product, and you're only as good as your vendors, because your vendors will make you or break you. If they're not meeting the deadline, if they're not providing good quality products, then you're only as good as your vendors. So you have to treat it. It's a partnership. It's a relationship. So I was doing the same things that I was doing that I normally did at Costco for pretty much all my life. So then that's when I realized, I go, wait a minute, there's no I can't deny it. So then I started to embrace it. And I remember when I would go out to networking events and I would show my card of, I'm an inventor. I would always introduce myself as an inventor and what I was there for. And they said, okay, and I'm also a production manager for Costco. And then they were like, oh, I love Costco. And that started a whole different conversation, because, out of the 23 years, when I say I worked for Costco, even before I was an entrepreneur, people, their eyes light up. They give me a smile and say, oh my gosh, I love Costco. in the 23 years, no one has ever said anything bad about Costco.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know what? It is what it is. And you know what? I'm just going to embrace it. And when I started to embrace it, it took a bit of pressure off of me, because now I said, okay, I'm fine with it. It's, it's me. It's who I am. It's a part of how I do business, because I know no other way.
What do your coworkers say about your side launch
They're very
business?
supportive. They're very, very supportive. The VPs know about it. And again, they're very supportive. And, now that I know that I'm an entrepreneur and I have a side launcher, you hear other buyers, having other businesses or other, I said to myself, well, what would be different from having, a hobby versus my hobby is an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it goes hand in hand. And with one time, I was listening, Jim Senegal was doing a podcast, and the host was asking him about Jim and another VP had invested money into Costco buyers who had opened an organic food chain. And the host kept on asking him, but, how did they approach you? How, why did you say yes right away? And Jim just said, because they're ex-Costco employees. I know what, he basically said, I know their DNA. I know what they're capable of doing. But the host, he just could not understand how quickly Jim said, oh, no, I trust them. And, I invested in them because I know what they're capable of doing.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was when I heard that, I go, wow, the host, he just didn't get it. It's a culture. It really, truly is a culture. And I'm very blessed that I have that experience and a part of that amazing company.
Well, let's talk a little bit about their culture. How would you describe the culture, and how do you think that will impact your business as you grow it and you bring on more employees and things like that?
Yeah, the Costco culture is very simple. So obeying the law, taking care of our employees, and our employees are the most biggest asset of the company. And taking care of our vendors, long-term relationships, trust. That's what it is. And it's living it, and it's doing it day to day, in and out, regardless of what's going out, what other companies are doing. I remember I was in my Costco cubby, and when I come out and interact with other people or other companies, I start to appreciate, all the training that we go through as managers and as employees to keep us in a professional environment. And I said, oh my goodness, are you really, I would hear things and I go, wow. I thought everybody's culture was as same as Costco because I had no experience elsewhere. And so when I was, interacting, I go, wow, that's totally unprofessional, or that's, I would be able to, it would be so obvious that it was something very different from what I was accustomed to.
So Costco invests in your professional development as an employee, it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because Costco hires within our company.
Mm-hmm.
You can go from pushing a cart to be a VP. You can go as high as you want to go, as long as you have the ambition and you keep the Costco culture. That's the beauty of it. It all depends on you, how aggressive and how ambitious you are to move up in the company, because there's opportunities there. You just have to get the job done.
Mm-hmm. What types of training opportunities do they provide employees? Like, what does that look like?
I mean, they have, Costco has our whole structure that keeps us, in compliance with the laws and keeping us, just training to keep us at a professional level.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get, exposed too much of it, but it just keeps us,
right.
It keeps us in a cohesive work environment, a professional, cohesive work environment. That's what I could say.
Okay. And
it makes your daily interaction very simple.
Do they have internal trainers to help with that?
Sure. It's our, us as managers and as leadership positions, you have to set the example. And we set examples every day by conducting ourselves in a professional manner and engaging with our employees.
Oh, that's great. So what about how you're going to go about growing your company? What do you anticipate going forward in having more staff? What does that look like for you?
It's going to get to the point where we want to scale our business. Basically, right now, I'm taking one step at a time. As you know, it's a launch. I'm working on a couple of things right now. But again, I've learned not to compare myself to other businesses, because everybody has a certain pace and everybody has a certain goal. And what I'm finding more as I'm growing as myself as a woman internally, what I'm finding, Gina, is that I'm pivoting. And I believe that Hanging Secrets is just a platform for me to pivot to inspire other women. I think that's where it's taking me, because that's where I feel more natural. I mean, I constantly get messages through my Facebook and through family members and through friends. Oh my gosh, Frances, I saw you over here. Frances, you're an inspiration. All that continues to come back to me. What I realize is I'm not living just my dream. I'm living other women's dreams through me, women and men.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my next step right now is I'm going to work on writing a book.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Again, going back to the sense that I'm getting that's the feedback. When you stand back and I look at things, okay, where is this taking me? What is my life purpose throughout this journey as an entrepreneur and as an inventor? I believe it's allowing me to truly find my life purpose. And what I'm finding that I'm making the most impact, and the feedback that I'm getting from people that I meet on a daily basis, family members, and just even coworkers and colleagues, that, my story is inspirational, that I inspire them, that I motivate them. So I believe that that's my purpose. That feels very comfortable to me. I like to mentor, and what we do every day at work, we mentor. Our goal is to inspire others to bring out their talents, to bring the best out of each individual. And I believe I could do that. So I said to myself that, I think within the next 6 months, I've written and I record myself a lot, do a lot of recordings on events or situations that I have, so I could capture that feeling, what I'm feeling, and, either happy, good feeling or bad feeling. It's just, I want to capture this journey, because I believe that this journey, it's going to make a great story, because it's been brutal. A lot of humble pie. It's been brutal. It hasn't been easy, but I just keep reminding myself that's just going to make a better book. That's just going to make a better read. You're going to, when you hit rock bottom, you're going to show them. It's been challenging. It's been a lot of humble pies. There's been a lot of no's. There's been like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? But again, there's always a light that comes out. There's always something that comes out, as long as you stay positive. And that's one of the things, you can be in a really challenging situation, but you have to look at the positive, and you have to figure out how you're going to get out of that, and what are you going to learn from it. And again, so this book is going to be really juicy, because I've had a lot of things happen. And so that's what I believe, this is where Hanging Secrets is taking me to. I believe it's just a platform, and there's bigger things coming. And right now I want to, again, capture that opportunity to write down this whole journey, because I hope I can inspire other women that think that, sometimes we believe that, we're just there for the family. And I was there, okay, my husband needed this. I was just waiting for someone to delegate something to me so I can get it done and feel worthy. But now I'm living for myself. Now I'm living for Frances. It's my time. And, I have so much to give.
A couple things that you said that, really resonate, that I think are important. You said you don't compare yourself to other businesses. And I think that's extremely important. I say this to women all the time. They'll see other people being successful, and then they question their own success. And I think you kind of have to put some blinders on for a little while sometimes, to not get distracted by that. And I think your story is extremely inspirational, and every story needs conflict in it. So it can't be full of wins and just success. People need to see what the struggles are, because people can relate to struggle, and then they want to see a hero. So I'll read that book. I can't wait for you to finish writing it.
Thank you. And it's not so much, I think it's not so much being a hero. I just believe it's believing in yourself. I think that's, I meet a lot of women and a lot of people. And what I realized for myself is just, if you can believe in yourself with no doubt, you could do anything. Our biggest obstacle, I find sometimes, and every now and then I'll doubt myself, and I say, wait a minute, Frances, what are you talking about? Get over there and get it done, girl. I motivate myself. I get it done. But it's believing in yourself. If you could believe in yourself, you can get anything done. You can get anything done.
I agree.
And I hope I instill that in my daughter. And I see that in her. And again, but she still has a little bit of the old Frances, the Frances that just, was living the mom's role. And now I'm living the woman as the individual. So I want her, and I want her to see that side. She needs to feel that side of her soul, so she's complete as a woman.
Yeah. And you're giving her that, you're giving her all views of a woman's life, basically.
So,
or what
I
a
hope
woman's
so.
what a woman's life should be. When I said every story needs a hero, most book, every story does need a hero. And in other women's and other entrepreneurs' eyes, right, you're the hero of that story, because everybody needs that hero, that role model to look up to get the inspiration from, because there are days when we feel low, and it's someone like you comes along, and that elevates that person to go, okay, get back up. She did it. I can do it. And I think that's really important for us to be able to do for other people.
And you know what, Gina, also what I've learned too is, we always talk about the glass ceiling. We have to break that glass ceiling. And for me being a Latina, we have to break that culture ceiling too.
Yeah.
Especially in my household. My husband is from Mexico. I was brought up very old school, very traditional. Right. So it's also, culture. Even for you as a woman to go speak up and be, compatible to your peers, you have to have confidence. You have to have that strength. But at home, I know when I walk in the door, my husband is the head of the household. And that's what, that's why I've been happily married for 34 years. I know my role. I know my role. And again, this would mean to me, none of this success or none of this excitement that I'm having with Hanging Secrets on being an entrepreneur, if I turned around and my husband wasn't there, because we're a team.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, how does he feel about all of this?
He was at the very beginning. It was a transition for him and the whole family, because before mom would just go to work and come home, dinner, the house was clean and the whole bed, and now all of a sudden mom is doing this. So it's been a transition, but I'm very fortunate because I paid my dues and I invested in them, and they know that I always had their back. So now they have my back.
That's great.
And they're very, very supportive. They're very, very supportive. And I'm very fortunate, and I'm very blessed, because what I put into many years before, I'm getting reimbursed now with their support and their love. And again, as long as I told my husband, I will continue to push and go through Hanging Secrets as long as I see progress, and I will continue to push forward. That's my measuring stick. As long as I see progress every day, some days might be more than others, but as long as I continue to see progress in our business, in myself, then I will continue to push forward.
That's what family should be all about, is family supports each other. And sometimes everyone's got to take turns, and whose turn is it to be supported? So it sounds like you're in a really good place.
I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. Life has been good to me.
I have one more question for you. This podcast goes very fast. We're at the end. The final question, the silly question is, what kind of animal is Frances in business, and why?
Wow.
Go ahead.
No. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to buy you some time. Usually I tell everyone to think about, animals are very instinctual, and they have to do things to not become extinct. And when you look at that, how does that show up in your own personality?
I would say in my own personality, I'm very social. And I would say it would be a dolphin. Dolphins are very social animals. So that would be me. I love people. I love interacting. And I consider myself even a social little butterfly, I would say. But I'm a very social person. So I would say the dolphin.
Okay. And dolphins are very smart. So add that to
it. I was more in the sociable, being sociable.
Well, I think you're smart too, because you've had some great success. So that smart plays a part in that.
Thank you, Gina.
You're so welcome. Well, it's been so great having you on this podcast. I look forward to watching your continued success, and would love to stay connected with you. And if people want to connect with you, what are the best ways to do that?
I'm on LinkedIn. I also have a Twitter account, Frances Prado 12. I have an Instagram account, Frances Prado, and a Facebook, Frances Prado.
Okay, great.
Gina, can I leave you with my favorite quote?
Yes, please do. Yes.
Okay, it's create your dreams, crave your dreams, and cultivate your dreams.
I love it. That's going to go into our social media that we take quotes from every podcast, and then we put those out before the podcast airs. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time today to be on our podcast.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you for having me.
Great. Well, we're going to wrap it up, everybody. Once again, thanking Frances for being on the podcast today on the Pivotal Leader. And you can find show notes for this episode, including contact information for Frances, on our website at thepivotalleader.com. The Pivotal Leader is a production of Pivot 10 Results, a strategy and training company that helps businesses shift from people problems to performance results. Remember, you can find our podcast on iTunes. And if you're an iTunes subscriber, please leave us a rating and review. And don't forget to email me your questions about employee engagement and customer acquisition at gina@pivot10.com, and I'll answer that in upcoming episodes. Thank Frances one more time for being here today, and to all of you for listening. And until next time, if you're feeling stuck in your business, it's probably time to pivot. You've been listening to The Pivotal Leader. To learn more about how to shift your culture and pivot to success, visit pivot10results.com. That's pivot10results.com.